Sorry, I'm a little late this morning. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. How's everyone today? All right. Oh, is it sunny your way finally? We're getting a weird storm. It was super windy last night. Like it was waking me up. So I think we're finally going to get some snow. We need it really bad. So welcome everybody. All right. So make sure you read the show notes. And if you're new to me, make sure you not just read them, but scroll through them and take some screenshots because there's a lot of information in there, including my YouTube address in the second paragraph, where you can go and rewatch any of my seller chats. And then all of those starred bullets are the official places that you can go and get help. So, Whatnot seller account, the YouTube account for Whatnot, that's the official account, and they have a ton of videos there that you can watch that are geared for new sellers. Hey, Faye West, welcome in. And then the Seller Academy, which is if you haven't done that and you're new, go do that first and then come watch my shows. Because they'll answer a lot of your basic questions, teaches you all the, just the basics of how to navigate the app. So go do all the tutorials at Seller Academy. And Seller Academy is the third starred bullet. And then, of course, you can use help.whatnot.com or frequently asked questions. And then there's also a Whatnot blog, which is more the business side, but lots of good articles. And then there is a meetups.whatnot.com website where you can go and find out about local meetups where groups of sellers will meet up to be able to kind of collaborate and socialize with people who know what the heck it is that you're doing on this app. So those are all the things that are in the show notes. So make sure you read them and take some screenshots. City Stash Fabrics in the house. How are you this morning? What's going on? Oh, thank you, Faded Flamingo. All right. So today I can't stay on super long. I have to go sing at a funeral. Eh. So, yeah, not fun. Not a family member, a neighbor who passed away. Um, Sad, but her request was that our church choir sing, and I sing in the choir. So, yeah, that's what I've got to do today for a little bit. So I can't stay on long because I have to get ready for that. But I don't know. I'm kind of she was older, not as old as she should have lived, but she was one of the lucky ones in the sense that if you're going to get cancer, she um she got it the right way. She got diagnosed in December, late December, and passed away a week and a half ago. So she went really fast. So you're trying to get me to sing. You know what? I used to have a very lovely voice, and the older I get, it's just like I'll try to sing and I croak. So I can sing in a choir because you can kind of like hide in the choir and hit most of it's not that I can't hit notes, my voice cracks. It's really sad. So I think I've read that it's kind of one of those, getting older, some women, just with hormones and everything, their voice just changes. And mine definitely has. It makes me cry sometimes. Same for you, Sharon. Yeah, it sucks. So, And right now at church, I lead the music in the children's um, primary, is what we call it. And I get up there and I try to sing with them, and I'm like all over the place. So I'm like, well, I hope they learn to sing the right way. Yeah, kids don't judge. But, but yeah, and you can just kind of, I mean, I wing it, but yeah. So yeah. Oh, that just happened to a friend of yours. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, that's my day today. So what's everybody else got going on? Um, let's see. Yeah, long drawn out cancer is horrible. I mean, if you catch it really early and it's just, go have something cut out and maybe have a little bit of, targeted radiation or something, you know, you're good. But I don't know. It's pretty awful. Bad choir singers is what made me realize I could sing. That's hilarious. Yeah. We have a really small group because there's a lot of people that I think in our congregation that could sing, but they just don't want to. And so we have a really small group. And I always am like, okay, hope the angels show up to sing with us because sometimes we're so few in numbers, but we end up singing and sounding okay. So it works. It works. Thank you for the raid, Hip Chick. How are you today? Everybody give Hip Chick a follow. If I can get my finger to work on here, I will pull up your profile. Here is Maxine. Oh, I remember your profile. Your profile's so cute with your all hippie funness there. Super cute. And she is a reseller of colorful clothes, high quality thrifted designer brands, specializing in Farm Rio and Johnny Was. And I would say I love that you've got all this info, but nobody's going to read it all, shorten it up. So just tell them what they need to know, and then start sharing all this stuff in your shows because it's super cute, but it's too long. All right. And your shows, the next show is the 19th, Little Black Dress, and then Mornings with Maxine. That's right, you're doing morning shows. Super cute thumbnails. Thank you so much for the raid. All right. Let's see. What do you guys need to talk about today? What's going on? I need to go look and see if Whatnot Sellers still has an update show scheduled for the 4th, although lately they've been canceling them. So there's a bunch of announcements I'm waiting on, and they just have not been forthcoming. Tomorrow, there is a How to Attract Buyers show. They've scheduled it under the football breaks category, but it's just a everyone who wants to come show about how to attract buyers. And then seller best practices with Beauty Finds. They're going to interview Joy with Beauty Finds on the 25th. And they still do have that update show on the 4th of March scheduled. So make sure you have that bookmarked. So I'm on the Whatnot Seller account. Make sure you get those shows bookmarked. Very useful to go to those and learn new info. So can I talk about, let's see, thumbnails, the best inexpensive ways to create them? Yeah, so people just use AI. I use Canva. There is a free version of Canva, although it's somewhat limited. Um, People are using Chat GPT image generator. What else are you guys using? Name the software you're using or the apps you're using. Not software, apps. What apps you're using to create your thumbnails? So yeah, I use Canva. So Phil Tripp said, I had quite the scene in my show the other night. I blocked someone for saying things I thought weren't kind, and then another person got so mad about it. Oh, that's lovely. Let's see. I blocked someone for saying things I thought weren't kind, and then another person got so mad about it. Hmm. Was it, I mean, did you feel like they were just joking around? I mean, so obviously other people maybe thought they were just joking around and you didn't take it that way. Is that kind of what you're thinking? And requested refunds right there. It was so uncomfortable and I didn't know if I did the right thing. Oh, so then the person who got mad about it requested a refund. Okay. Um, yeah, you got to be careful because it does create a really awkward vibe in your show if you openly, um, especially if you say anything. I tend to, if I see someone doing or saying something, and I remove them or block them, which I've rarely to never done. I don't announce it. I don't say anything. I just do it. Because if you say something, it creates this awkwardness. So, yeah, they were saying things about other people in a bad way. Yeah, so just remove them from the show because they can't come back. If you just remove them, they can't come back to that same show. And I think that will send the message versus blocking, which completely removes them from ever being able to see you or even come ever again. So I would remove someone first, um, and then, and don't say anything because it's just really smooth. You just continue on as if nothing happened. Because if you start talking about it, it makes the vibe weird and people are get kind of like weirded out. And it's like, yeah, so you got to be careful about that. Um, yeah. So probably you want to unblock them and reach out and maybe see if you can have a conversation about what happened. If they're, be the take the high road, be the bigger person, unblock them, reach out, you know, figure out what happened and, see if you can go forward from there. As far as the person who was asking for a refund, um, you know, yeah. I will tell you this. Um, this app is all about community. It really is. And people who come to your shows want it to be uplifting, fun, enjoyable, no bad vibes. And if you go into shows and there's awkwardness and bad vibes, especially in our category, I think there's other categories that are more cutthroat and people kind of thrive on chaos. But that's not the case in our category. I mean, let's face it, we're quilters, we're crafters, we're sewers. Um, we're, as a general rule, pretty kind, fun, enjoyable people, and we don't like bad vibes, right? So try really hard to just diffuse, do things like don't announce. If someone says something and you are like, this is going to get weird, just remove them from the show without saying anything. And then it's done. They get the message. And then hopefully, and then if you feel like you need to follow up, reach out to them later. So now you can block someone if you have someone come in your show. I mean, like, I've had to block people a couple times because I've had someone come in my show that was, some weirdo doing sexually explicit saying stuff that was like totally off. That's different. That's just some wigged out weirdo who happened to drop into my show that day. Lucky me. That's different. I'm talking about someone someone who's having a bad day probably and is taking it out on you for whatever reason. That's different. Um, try and diffuse and reach out after if needed. So, yeah, it is surprising that that happens, but we are getting more and more people in our category. It's getting very crowded. And, some people start getting a competitive feeling when certain things happen. And here's my advice for that: focus on your own business, your own goals, and then just be community minded in all the ways that matter. It really does make a difference to, not have a competitive spirit, because it's going to backfire on you if people pick up the vibe that you're getting pissy about something someone else is doing, or this or that or the other. The vibe is there and you're going to drive people away. So, yeah, we're all here. We all have a different personality. We all have a different way of doing things, and people will gravitate to the shows and the people that they like and that they feel comfortable with. And if there's bad vibes and competitive vibes and ickiness, they're going to stay away. They're going to stay away. So, try and handle it kind of that way, where it's more like, you know, and I know it's hard sometimes. People will come in and start promoting their shows or whatever, and I kind of have adopted the way House of Coop does it. If people say, "Can I promote?" I say, "Sure, promote once, follow 10 people, and make sure you go to other people's shows." So then that's the message is, you can promote once and, advertise your next show, follow a bunch of people, and, just be that way about it instead of, telling them no or whatever. So, because then it brings that bad vibe, is like, oh, you know, because nobody wants that icky feeling of, someone just got shut down, someone just got reprimanded, because it totally changes the whole atmosphere of your show, right? So, yeah. I took a poll, fast paced versus relaxed. It was 50-50. Yeah, exactly. Some people like a fast paced show. Some people like a more relaxed, enjoyable show. Some people like it kind of in the middle. So, um, yeah, sorry, field trip. I know stuff like that happens and it's just distressing. So, yeah, I would unblock that person, reach out and see if you can work it out. And as far as the person asking for a refund, probably the same thing, you know? And people have to understand that you're live doing a show and it's hard for you to focus on just doing the show, let alone if, crap's happening in your chat. So, take a deep breath, step back, analyze it, and see what you can do to kind of diffuse it. Case Packer says it's so easy for someone to say hurtful things when they're not face to face with you, but in chat they say things. Yeah. And it is unusual in our category for things like that to happen. But the more people we get coming in, the more sellers, et cetera, it's going to increase. So it's not a bad idea to pre-plan what your actions are going to be in certain scenarios, so that when something like that happens, you've already thought it through. If someone starts saying crap in chat, what am I going to do? If someone does this, what am I going to do? Maybe plan it out in advance so that your actions are just, oh, this was what I was going to do, and do it, so that you have it, so you don't get flustered. Yeah. Welcome in. Hello, Shell Top. How are you today? So that's kind of what we were talking about, is that came up. So Beth Ann says, if someone asks for a specific fabric, I will tell them to go to another seller that I've seen that fabric before. Does anyone else do? I do it all the time. If there's something that I don't specialize in, or I'm not going to ever have probably, and I know someone else has a bunch of that, absolutely, I'm going to refer them. I just think that's part of being a community minded seller. And if someone's really, and some quilters and sewers are like desperately looking for something to finish a project that they ran out of. I know that feeling. So of course I'm going to send them to someone if I know someone has it. We even have a chat group that's in search of, that a group of us post to, and that's what we do. Because someone will come in and say, hey, so and so's looking for this. Does anyone have it? And if we have it, or we know someone who has it, we tell them where to go. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Vintage Chick says, yeah, like I know someone that has a lot of knit fabrics. Yeah. And that's not something she specializes in. So she can say, hey, go to so and so. So yeah, that would be very community minded to do stuff like that. It's good vibes all the way around. And let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. If you have a specific question or comment you want me to read, try and put it in bold with the question mark. Let's see. Phil Tripp says, I don't even know who it was now. Is there a way we can replay the chat? There's not a way to replay the chat. Probably you're going to have to reach out to, did you have someone moderating? You'll probably have to reach out to some people. I mean, I think you're going to be able to see who you blocked. Well, because you blocked them, right? So I don't think I don't know if you can see who you blocked. Yeah, so you'll have to reach out and ask some people if they know. Did we answer enough about thumbnails? Let me know if you need more info about thumbnails. Can you explain the shipping rules and what the 1,000 mark means when brand new to selling, interested in starting? So the 1,000 mark is when you reach $1,000 in sales, or I mean, it's not dollars, 1,000 sales. You've sold 1,000 items. That is at what point Whatnot will start giving you instant payout instead of making you wait until everything shows that it has delivered, or at least a certain, whatever the timeline is. The shipping rules, too much to really talk about just in general in here. So I'm going to point you to a couple of things. So if you go into my auction tab, and I'm going to pin this document, I just pinned it on the screen. So on your screen, just tap the little picture of the item I pinned, tap it again to make it big, and then take a screenshot of that, and then go through that document to kind of help guide you, because shipping is based on what type of items you sell, and also how much you sell, and how often you sell, and how much money you're making per sale. So it's just based on some different things. And then in my show notes, the YouTube account, my YouTube account is the second paragraph in my YouTube lives. So you go to my YouTube account, go to my lives, and there are 3 separate shows that are titled Don't Sink Your Shipping. And they have a ship emoji, like a cruiser ship emoji, as the first thing in the title. And go watch all three of those, the oldest to the newest. And I go over all the shipping information and show you the boxes and talk about the settings and all that stuff. And right now, if you're a new seller, you don't have reduced shipping. They've taken that away from new sellers, so you can no longer change it to reduce shipping to buyer pays max. You don't have that option. So you just have to put it to buyer pays all shipping costs and then choose the settings that are going to work for you. And it really isn't that complicated. It's just making sure you figure out what's going to work with what you sell. And I would say when you're new, really curate your shows so that you have, when you go live, you sell enough that you can get some shipping, experience, but you don't sell so much that you're overwhelmed and get into trouble with, how am I going to bundle and ship all these items? So kind of, keep a good pace, a good flow until you've got some really good experience with it. Also have some practice shows, some private shows. So when you schedule a show at the very bottom, one of the options is to make it public, which is the default, or you can click a little thing to make it private. Do a couple of private shows that you send the link to that show just to some friends and family who can come into the show, and you just practice doing a show. And it is a live show that allows you to do it without the public there. Nobody else can see it in the schedule. And so it's a safe way to actually complete a show, sell some stuff to your friends and family, and do the shipping and see how it works. So do some private shows before you actually go live to the public. And that will help you. It'll help you see that your internet's good, your lighting's good, they can hear you, they can see you, how the flow is going to work for you, etc., etc. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining. Please read the show notes. And let me get back to the other questions. If you have a question, put it in bold. Yeah. I think she's asking about max shipping profiles. Yeah. So, yeah, you can't do the buyer pays max if you're new and don't have that option. Threads abounds. Hi, Draz. It was a fun time yesterday. Question for you. Do you know if we have access to chat conversation than a prior show? No. Yeah, they do not. The only way that you would be able to have the chat is if you do what's called a screen record. So on your phone, I don't know how it works on Android, but on an iPhone, in your swipe down from the right corner where you get your flashlight, one of the options in there is screen record, and you can screen record your show, and then it's an actual recording of the show, and you would be able to see the chat. Otherwise, chat disappears. They don't download chat. So, yeah, that is how you would do it. Let's see. Let me see if I missed anything else. All right, looks like I got everything. And did I miss anything or misinterpret what you were asking for? All right. And then as far as reduced shipping for new sellers, they have not come out and said when new sellers are going to get shipping, the max shipping. So it's right now they're saying it's just based on case. Like, you've proven yourself, you request it, they might give it to you. I don't know. So they haven't said. So it's not going to be tied to any specific, level of um, tied to like the 1,000 sales or anything like that. Yeah, use a question mark for questions and then it will make it yellow and bold. So, right, hang on. I was trying to mod you and my finger's not working. So I'm going to mod you vintage if you can stick around. If not, no worries. Okay, so you are welcome. Shell Top has two shows today. Well, awesome. Congrats. Hope they go well. Where is the seller chat to find fabric? So we have a group. So in the message system, it limits the number of people you can have in a group chat. And so it's just a group chat that we started like 2 years ago or something. And it's already full. So it's like one of those chats that we just started. If you would like to start one of those group chats, feel free to just, ask for people who would like to be in it and start another group in search of, group. And then also go join all the Facebook groups. Um, there's like a lot of the sellers have their own Facebook groups, but there is one called What Not Made Me Do It that is run by Logan, who is not a seller. So it's just a free for all, anyone who wants to join that's in the fabric community. And you could definitely share in search ofs on that chat. So it's called What Not Made Me Do It. All separate words. What Not Made Me Do It. And people share what they make and they talk about, and you're not really supposed to be like, on there spamming everybody with your shows. It's more like just a collaboration group where you can share stuff you make and search for things and ask about things and stuff like that. Yeah. Is there a schedule so we do not go live while someone else is on, or is that a thing? Seems like it would be friendly to coordinate time. No, I mean, definitely that's not a thing. And in fact, there's too many sellers now for that to even work. I mean, it's a 24/7 app. Um, you go live when it works for you. And that I will say there is a trend right now that kind of is a little bit bothersome, but I understand why people are doing it. People are scheduling multiple shows a day on their schedules and having shows scheduled every day of the week, multiple shows, tons of thumbnails to get bookmarks, and then they're just moving them out. But it is a little bit annoying because it clogs up the schedule big time. So I would prefer if it were, in a perfect world, that Whatnot would not allow you to have more than one or two shows scheduled per day. But, people are doing it because it does help get bookmarks. So, but it is kind of annoying because you don't really know if they're legit going to have that show. It just keeps getting moved. So, but it is a strategy for getting bookmarks. I don't encourage everybody to do it because nobody knows for sure which one's your actual show. And just an FYI, the algorithms for shows, if you have a show scheduled and you continually move it, it actually lessens the visibility of that show over time because they keep seeing it getting moved. So that is a thing you need to know too. So if you have a show that you like, especially if you move it close to the time that it was supposed to start, it will actually be detrimental for you. And especially if you have shows that are on your schedule and you don't go live and you forget to move it. It's a dead show sitting on the schedule. And sometimes the schedule's glitchy and it will actually keep that show on your schedule because you never actually went live, and it sits there for sometimes 24 hours. And it's obvious to people that you never went live and it makes you look bad. So don't do that. Okay. So Melon Stella cards, all of us have solids, but solids are really hard to sell. So you just need to ask because everybody has them. So, just say, hey, I'm looking for solids. Like, in fact, yesterday in that Philobox raid train, I think almost all the sellers had boxes full of solids they sold because because it's one of the things we have a hard time selling. Yeah, people just don't want them. And here's my thoughts about solids. My thoughts about solids are that people are looking for main prints and coordinating prints, and then they will go find the solid in person that actually matches perfectly because it's really hard to match a solid in on a online. Am I wrong? Yeah, I think people tend to, because you're looking for your main prints, right? That you're going to do a project with. And then when it comes to the actual like borders, bindings, backgrounds, you want something that perfectly matches. And so you're going to look in your own stash or go to the actual quilt shop to match it up perfectly because it's got to match. And if you order a bunch of solids online and none of them are the right color, you're going to be like, dang, right? So, so yeah, that's my theory on why people don't buy solids as much online because that's not what you've got to match. Um, you're looking for the main prints first, and then you're going to match your solids later. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of, because it's fine if you see, a main print or you buy some coordinating that goes with it. You get it, you love it, and then you're like, okay, now I've got to find the other things that are going to match perfectly, and I'm going to take the fabric with me to go match it up. Or I'm going to look what I already have and cross fingers that I already have some solids that work. Yeah. So, yeah. So, good question. I like that question. Yes, it is nice when sellers have a line of fabric. So then you're buying something that already was made to coordinate. And a lot of us are doing that, putting bundles together so that you're buying, a whole set that already matches. Melon Stella says, I quilt occasionally with my grandma, and she has so many prints I already love, but we need some solids to match small pieces. Yeah. Dang, I wish you'd been in that show yesterday because there were about 5 or 6 or more sellers that sold whole boxes full of solids, and you could have picked up a whole stash, and probably some of them would have worked, huh? So, yeah. I actually did not put a box together of solids because I forgot. And then I was watching other people do it and I was like, dang, I should have put a solid box together. Yeah, Field Trip was the same thing. She was like, dang, I didn't do one. So I've got a big stack. I don't have a huge stack of solids, but I've got a big stack. So if you drop into one of mine, I'll show you what I have. Field Trip obviously has some too. So yeah. Yeah, but there are some of the bigger sellers too that do stock solids. But again, you kind of got to know what it goes with so that you're going to know it matches because it's kind of hard to want to buy. And solids, a lot of times you need a big chunk of that fabric and you don't want to buy. You don't want to commit to 3, 4, 5 yards of it if you don't know for sure it's going to match. So yeah, that's okay. We like fabric tangents, right? So anyone here that's not a fabric seller, I heavily apologize. So yeah. Um, yes, brand of solids too, because there are some people that love Kona, there's some people that don't love Kona, So you just kind of have to, And it's fun with solids because you don't usually know what brand they are because they don't mark the selvage. So if you have it, unless you're buying it on the bolt, it's kind of a mystery about what it is. So yeah. Yep. All right. Um, what else does anyone need help with? Now that we've beat that one to death, huh? Solids. Get us talking about fabric and it just never ends. Never ends. Let me make sure I didn't miss something here. I think I got it all. All right. So one of the things I've been thinking about lately is um well, we had a show the other day where we talked about how do you get people in your shows? How do you keep them there? What are strategies? And I've just really been thinking, people need to be creative and come up with their own ideas, their own ways of doing things. And you can get great ideas watching other people, but don't just copy them exactly. Come up with your own ways of doing things, come up with your own strategies. Because if you just mimic someone else exactly, then it's kind of like, okay, that's nice, but what's your own take? Who are you? What do you have that's special? Do something, unique. That's your own ideas, your own way of doing it. And I mean, I'm not saying that everything has to be different. We sell fabric. We do our shows a lot of us do our shows with your backdrop is your cutting board and stacks of fabric. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, how you organize things, what kind of stuff you sell, um, special things you don't do in your shows that are unique to you. So figure out be creative, be yourself, do things that are going to work for you instead of just exactly copying what someone else is doing all the time. Um, you know, or take what someone else is doing and make it a different version of that's your own unique way of doing it. Um, and I'll be honest with you. I think I'm qualified to talk about this because I'm one of the original sellers. Everybody who's selling fabric on this platform has copied me, which is fine because there's only a certain number of ways to sell fabric. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the special things that you do that make your show you. Take the time, make the effort to make your shows fun, exciting, and different than everybody else's. That's what makes you unique. What makes people want to come. That's what makes you get a solid group of people that support you regularly. They just like to be there. They're part of your extended family, so really brainstorm that and I promise you it will make a big difference. And everybody who has been on this platform long enough can tell you that you've got to constantly be brainstorming new and different ways to do things, improve your process, change things up because it gets old. And the minute a new seller comes on with something new and exciting, you're old hat. So you've got to always be coming up with new ideas, changing things up, and so on. How long have I been selling? So I joined Whatnot in like August of 2022 and started selling at the end of that year. I wish I'd started selling the first day I found it. But yeah, that's how long I've been on. So And it's an amazing, amazing, life changing platform if you do it right. Well, not right is not the right word. If you are consistent and you show up and you put some effort into it, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So if you don't have the time or the stamina, that's a good word, stamina. You don't have the time or the stamina to make this work, then it's just going to be a casual, part-time side gig every once in a while when you feel like it or you're up to it. If you want to do this in a way that it's going to be your, full-time job, so to speak, it's a lot of work. Okay. So Phil Tripp says I can't help but say custom bid to win. Yeah. Yeah, she's coined a few catchphrases there that, probably a lot of people are going to quote. And that's flattery to her that she's done that, right? But, again, what are your own catchphrases? What can you do to make it your own? Does that make sense? So, make it your own, because that's much more relaxing for you instead of trying to come up, trying to repeat what other people say. What comes naturally to you? What is your normal way of speaking? How would you, be yourself, be authentic, be original, all the stuff, right? Yeah. Yeah, running, running, running. Yeah, I see that copied quite a bit too. But that's just kind of a whatnotism, right? I mean, we have to say that sometimes because otherwise the chat's half asleep and we're like, hello, this is running. Would someone please bid again? Because the first bidder is going to get it for $1, right? So we're like, hello. Yeah. So sometimes we say it just to wake them up. I was excited when they added the little bump. What is it called when your phone like jumps or buzzes when the bidding starts? Because that at least helped people go, oh, why'd my phone just buzz? Yeah, haptics. Thank you. So yeah, I was glad when they added that, because then like people were like, at least if they were falling asleep with the phone in their hand, they kind of were like, oh, hello. So yeah. But that's another thing, realize that people have shows on and maybe they're not buying that day, but you still want them in your show, right? They're not buying, they're just casually watching like they would watch TV instead. They're on your show. You want them in your show instead of, scrolling Facebook or watching reruns of Friends or whatever else the heck they might be doing, because it's their downtime. They're relaxing. They have time to be on Whatnot. Keep them interested, and, they're in your show. That's awesome that they're in your show, whether they're buying or not, right? So everyone in your audience, exactly. The more the merrier. That's a true statement. The more the merrier. So yeah. And we're not the experts. I've just been around long enough that I've almost seen it all, right? Except I don't hang out in seedy categories. So maybe I need to, because maybe they have some great ideas too. I just don't want my brain full of some of the crap that goes on in the seedier categories. But um, yeah, if they're really falling asleep, tell them to go to bed so they don't accidentally swipe and want a refund, right? Yeah. Oh, well, like shop 801. I mean, tons of people go to sleep to shop 801 because she has one of those mellow, low voices and she's got that personality that it's like, right? So everybody has gone to sleep on her shows because she's a late nighter. I just literally purchased live caught oysters. I know, isn't that freaky that they have categories now where you can buy seafood and produce and other stuff like that. That's amazing. Kind of makes me nervous though with the shipping, to be honest. It's like, are my oysters going to be fresh? I don't buy oysters. Blech. I don't like them. But you know what I mean? You have bought plants. Did they survive? That's the thing that scares me is just I'm like, so they did survive. Okay, they packed them. You know, I don't even know how I would pack plants. That scares me. So yeah, I have a hard enough time if I sell something that needs bubble wrapped. I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I'm like the super extra cautious person, and Bert's like, oh my gosh, just bubble wrap it and send it. And I'm like, no, it's going to break, and you need more tape and you need more paper. And he's like, we can't ever sell fragile stuff because I'm too paranoid about it breaking. So, yeah. You used to go to an oyster farm when you lived in California, picnic tables on the coast with a bag of oysters. Ooh. I like the picnic table and the coast. I don't know. Oysters are just too slimy for me. Too slimy. I do like fresh, like crab cakes. I love clam chowder. I love shrimp. Um, Lobster's pretty good, although lobster is so messy. And it's like by the time you're done eating, you're like, that was a workout just to get it all. I mean, holy cow. Breaking up all those little pieces and trying to get the meat out. It's like, was that worth it? So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. All right, we digress. What does everyone need help with besides lobster, crab, and oysters? Because that's not my expertise. Oh my gosh. Alaskan fresh food in Alaska. I've been to Alaska. It's amazing, first of all. And yes, if you get the fresh stuff right from Alaska or somewhere like that, it's so good. So good. Let's see. I was saying how inventive it is that he figured out how to sell live. So unique. Yeah, that's so cool. Very cool. I don't know. We're old, so I it's not an excuse, it's just a reality. Um and so I struggle with certain things, because I'm like I'm in that semi-retired attitude and I have to, pick myself up and go, okay, I got to get this done, got to get this done. And Bert's a little bit older than me, even. And so sometimes we're like, well, how much do we really want to do? So you have to do what works for you. That's the key right there. And a lot of people are like, well, don't you want to do this and that and the other? And I'm like, no, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm enjoying the level I'm at, but you can't get too comfortable because if you rest on your laurels, pretty soon everybody overtakes you. So you've got to continue to, invent, reinvent, pivot, do all the things. But, I kind of like where we're at because I don't have to hire anybody. I don't have to rent storage units. I don't have to go out and buy a big truck to haul stuff around. I don't have to buy extra this and extra that, and we're doing really well. I was telling people the other day, we're at an income level where we replaced and have exceeded all of our income from prior jobs. It's a good place to be, So, yeah, but it is hard because you have to continue to grow. You just don't necessarily have to do it in leaps and bounds. So, and we've doubled our income every year over year. That's awesome, you know. But do I want to get to a point where I'm fried and I have to start hiring other people? Hiring other people is a whole, I mean, you've got to, you're when you do payroll, when you've got to payroll somebody, the pain in the you know what, right? So if you don't want to have to go to that next level, you've got to figure out processes and what you can do to continue to grow without having to go to that next level. And let me say this too, there's more than one way to do things. You can still make more money or still make the same amount of money in a different way. So always be thinking about, you can make more per item if you do something different. You can do other things to continue to grow without all that extra stuff. Your husband didn't make the boxes right, so I fired him. That's hilarious. So, yeah, just always be, and, always look for opportunities to get things in sourcing for a lot less, and also your supplies. Because one of the ways you can save a lot of money is looking for opportunities to save in costs. And I know it's not nice to necessarily have your house packed, but if you don't have to rent storage units, that saves you a ton of money. Storage is expensive. Maybe buy a trailer instead. Maybe get a shed instead, because if you look at how much you would spend in storage, um, compared to just buying a trailer or buying a shed or whatever, storage is expensive. And I know there's a lot of sellers who have multiple storage units out there, and it's like, it's expensive. Some places are cheaper than others, but holy cow. Yeah, exactly. She's got some in 4 states, right? It adds up. It adds up. So if you can do things to, well, and look at it this way too. A trailer, a shed, a house is an investment. Storage unit is money down the toilet every month. So put your money somewhere that you can still use it for the space, but it's actually an investment for the future. So, yeah. So we have a huge house. We're empty nesters. Um, you know, Pretty much every room has something in it except for my daughter's bedroom, which I promised her I would not put anything in there. Literally told me when she moved out, she's like, my biggest fear is that I'm going to come home for the weekend and my bedroom's full of fabric. So I promised her I wouldn't put fabric in her bedroom. But the rest of my house, almost every room has something in it. My kitchen doesn't, but yeah. I hear Marcus Lemone's recent discussion about all their stock is in Camping World because that's investing in yourself. So I looked at U-Haul. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, my daughter's the youngest. Your baby sister still has a room in my mom's house too, and she's 41. Yeah, I think I'm probably already always going to have one. She's that kind of kid. Because if I literally made her take, I mean, I guess at some point, if she gets married and has her own house, I'm gonna be like, hello, can you please get this the heck out of here? But yeah, I think she's gonna always want a room, which, you know what? I'm fine with that. I always want my kids to come back, feel welcome. So if they don't mind, like my guest room right now, I have full. And so my son and his girlfriend that come home every once in a while, um, I'm gonna have to tell him yes, but you have to give me good notice because I'm gonna have to clear that room out again. because right now it's holding the estate sale that we're doing. So yeah, my don't laugh. My friend bought Under Armour stock when they first came out because she wore it for tennis. She made so much money. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, if there's something you love, that makes sense to me, you know? Because if it's good, if you really like something and you think it's good, then obviously you're going to think a lot of other people are going to too. So, yep, makes sense. All right. I've been on for an hour. I probably need to go. So, anyone else have any burning questions? Take screenshots of the show notes. Oh, thanks, Al. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. And you're welcome. And really, in my shows, my walk and talks, it's all about me just telling you where to go to get help. I have all the documents in my auction tab. So just go in the shop, go into the auction tab, go through there, and anything in there that's informational, take screenshots of it. There's 19 items in there. And I add new ones from here and now, here and again. And then my show notes tell you where to go to get help. And I was thinking about this the other day, people come in and they're like, I need help, I need help. And I'm like, I can't be there with you ultimately. I mean, I guess if you want to pay me several $1,000s and buy me a plane ticket, I'll come help you set up your stuff, right? And I'm just sort of kidding about that because I don't have time. But, if I can guide you to where you can get help, if you'll just do it, if you go through all those things and read everything and figure it out, put in the time, make the effort, then, you're ahead of the game because sellers who come on here and just try to figure it out are going to make a bunch of mistakes. Vintage Chick, you're awesome. Thank you so much. That was very kind of you. So, figure it out because ultimately the people who are successful are the ones who come to these shows. And then if they, I see them 5 or 6 times, they get everything they need, and then boom, they're taken off. I've won. And they've won because they did what they needed to do to get it going, get it rolling, and be successful. So they don't need me anymore. That's okay. I'll help the next schlub who needs to figure out how this app works, right? Schlub, that's rude. The next lovely person who needs to figure out how the app works, come hang out, get all the information you need, and then I'll see you on the flip side being successful. That's exciting. And I love that. I love when that happens. Um, I've helped a couple of sellers like that who are now like premier sellers, and it makes me feel so happy that they were able to get what they needed and they actually followed the stuff that I said to do, because I'm like, you do this and you do that and you do this and you put your own spin on it and you be awesome, you're going to be successful. And they took it to the bank, and I'm like, yay, you know? So that's awesome. And that's, one of my love languages. I love to help other people be successful. I love to train. That's my background, training, corporate training. I used to do that. And so I love it when people are able to be successful, based on what I was able to share and help them with. So, all right, let's get going. I need to go. Um, let's go find someone to raid into. And if you want some nice fabric, bookmark my shows, bookmark each other shows, and you guys all have an awesome day. Oh, hey, Mary, how are you? Thank you. I'm so glad you still come hang out. Appreciate it. All right, let's go see who we can raid into. Lately, I've just been on these shows, I've just been kind of creating a raid and seeing who it suggests. And let's see if that works out good for us today. Let me just see if there's anyone on in community that I know. Because if not, we'll just go right into a fabric show. Yeah, I don't see anyone in community that I know. All right, so let's go right into, let's see, I haven't ever rated Cambria Boyd. So let's go there. She's got 8 people. Everybody give her some love and have a marvelous day. Hope to see you soon. Bye.